Hello, I'm back. Did you miss me? Yeah, I took a bit of a sabbatical, maybe a couple of years worth. Hiatus. Well, the thing is I had at the time got a new job, and so I really just didn't have time to read as much, record the videos, and, edit it at that point. But now I have a new editor. Ha. So, my lovely husband, Etzius Ford, check him out. So I figured may as well share my thoughts and feelings on the books I'm reading. This one is The Lost Girls by Heather Young, and I will read the plot. In the summer of 1935, 6-year-old Emily Evans vanishes from her family's vacation home on a remote Minnesota lake. Her disappearance destroys her mother, who spends the rest of her life at the lake house, hoping in vain that her favorite daughter will walk out of the woods. Emily's 2 older sisters stay too, each keeping her own private, decades-long vigil for the lost child. 60 years later, Lucy, in the 90s, the quiet and watchful middle sister, lives in the lake house alone. Before she dies, she writes the story of that devastating summer in a notebook that she leaves, along with the house, to the only person to whom it might matter, her grandniece, Justine. For Justine, the lake house offers a chance to escape her manipulative boyfriend and give her daughters the stable home she never had. But it's not the sanctuary she hoped for. The long Minnesota winter has begun. The house is cold and dilapidated. The frozen lake is silent and forbidding. Her only neighbor is a strange old man who seems to know more than he's telling about the summer of 1935. Soon, Justine's troubled oldest daughter becomes obsessed with Emily's disappearance. Her mother arrives with designs on her inheritance. The man she left behind launches a dangerous plan to get her back. In a house steeped in the sorrows of the woman who came before her, Justine must overcome their tragic legacy if she hopes to save herself and her children. So, I will say the plot is a little misleading. The oldest daughter does not become obsessed with Emily's disappearance. It's never even mentioned, really, except for maybe like 1 or 2 lines. But oh well. I will say when I read the plot, I did forget about the line that the man she left behind launches a dangerous plan. So my note will reflect that I forgot that. But oh well. Off to the notes. My first one. I wish I could inherit a house already paid off. Even though I have a house, we have a house, but, it'd be nice to have it already paid off. Lucy's dad is reminding me of The Handmaid's Tale with his talk of pureness, but I guess that was just the 1930s for you. I've also just been watching The Handmaid's Tale recently for the first time, so maybe that's why I made the connection. I don't know. But he's also, I think, he was a pastor or preacher or whatever, so that makes sense. Lucy's story was kind of boring to me, honestly, but Justine's story was interesting. Lucy, it was interesting to see the time and everything, but I could have went without it. Melanie is an annoying kid. She was the oldest, that supposedly was obsessed, but she really wasn't. So we find out that she finds the notebook that Lucy left for Justine, and apparently she's been reading it this whole time. That's about it. But honestly, just how she treats Justine is just super annoying. I don't know. She's also, I think, 13 maybe? Or I don't remember how old she was. Point being, she was annoying. This is where my thoughts came. I started trying to guess what happened to Emily. And I said I wonder if Lucy knows what happened to Emily. Just because, what was the point of writing down everything that happened that summer? So, that was kind of, I guess, a given. They talked about making one of Justine's kids, Melanie, the face of their anti-bullying program of the school. I was like, God, how embarrassing. At least I think it was Melanie, one of the kids. Like, can you imagine how embarrassing that would be for a kid? Even though schools don't even do anything for bullying anyways. It said, kids. Lucy's sister excluded her from their show that they were planning. Apparently they were planning like a cabaret or whatever they called it, because she didn't want her to feel left out. What better way to leave somebody out or make them like not feel left out than to leave them out? The logic is there. Justine keeps having a bad feeling about her neighbor. I wonder if he's actually bad, maybe something to do with Emily, or if he's just a strange old man. So their neighbor, what was his name? Matthew? Yeah. So we kept hearing about Matthew in Lucy's tale too. And when he was a kid. And so now we hear about him in Justine's story as an older man. Which turns out he was fine. Just one of those old men. Now I'm thinking Abe had something to do with Emily's disappearance. Maybe on accident. So Abe was Matthew's little brother. And they kept saying that he wasn't exactly right in the head. Maybe he had they didn't say Down syndrome or anything. They never really said any diagnosis, but it was the 1930s. So they didn't have anything then. So I had thought maybe Abe, because I think he was the older brother. So he wanted to play with the little kids, and they didn't seem like that was right because he was like an older teen. So I thought maybe he accidentally hurt her, trying to play with her or whatever. Then I said, everyone's so rude to Lucy all the time. Which is true. Her parents were rude to her. Her sister was rude to her. Justine's mother, Maury, I think was her name. She was Lilith's daughter, and Lilith was Lucy's sister. So Maury was rude to her too. So it's like everyone was rude to Lucy for no reason. And then my next note, Maury sucks. Yeah, so she was a terrible daughter, kinda. She treated her mother, badly. They also lived with Lucy, and she treated her badly, and then she treats her own daughter badly. And then it got to the point where she was treating her grandkids badly because she wanted to ice skate, and one of the kids got scared or something or fell, I don't know, didn't want to keep going. And she kept pushing her. Annoyingly so. I said, although it is nice that Maury defended her mom to Agnes, her mom's mother-in-law, sort of. So Lilith had Maury with a guy, I think she was engaged with him. I don't think they ever got married yet. But he passed away. I guess he went off to war or something, I think. Or he died at some point. And so they didn't like Lilith, Maury's mom. And they never considered them a part of the family. So at some point they go to some kind of event, party or whatever. Agnes is there, and then of course Maury, Justine, and the kids are there. So she did defend her mom to her. So she wasn't, I guess, all bad. She wasn't an evil character or anything like that. It was just, she was annoying. So I made this note. It didn't make sense to me at the time, but it did eventually become clear, immediately after. So I said, while Lily was pretending to be Shirley Temple was a tad stupid, I didn't understand why it upset her dad so much. So during I think it was cabaret or whatever it's called, a little show that some kids threw at their summer, getaway, she pretended to be Shirley Temple, and then her dad got really upset and drug her home. I wasn't real sure what it was. Unfortunately, it was made pretty clearly the next scene. It turns out he is a pedophile. So gross. He also like sent Lilith up to bed, and Lucy was there. She was 11 years old at this time, and he goes on this like ceremony, like preaching kind of thing. I don't even know. He was starting to talk nonsense because he felt like he was being sinful, which obviously. And so he started like preaching, and then he grabbed Lucy's hand and put it on him where it did not go. So that was gross. And then I said, I wonder if that's why the mom sleeps with Emily every night, which it was. So the mom protected Emily, the youngest. She was 6 years old, as it said in the plot. However, Lilith didn't really get that protection. And I don't know that anything other than that part happened to Lucy. It wasn't ever clear. So I think it was just Lilith who got sucky part of that. So yeah, the mom protected the youngest, but not any of her other kids, by making sure that she was never alone and that she stayed in the bed. I said, Patrick needs to go. The kids are scared of him. It seems suspicious. Patrick is the one that Justine left behind. And yeah, the kids just didn't like him at all. And so I find it always suspicious when kids are just that against somebody, like a new partner. Well, not a new partner, but... So it turns out he wasn't a pedophile or anything. Then I said, OMG, Lilith pushed Emily over a bridge. Yeah, so that's finally what happened. There were some kittens near like their cottage or whatever you call it, summer house. Or yeah, it was the house that Justine inherited. It was getting to the point where it was the end of the summer. They were about to go home, but Emily wanted to keep the kittens, which of course the mother said no. So she ran off in the middle of the night, which I don't know how if the mother sleeps with her every night. So much for that protection, I guess. She went off to go see the kittens or play with it or whatever. Meanwhile, Lilith was trying to run away, which go figure that, after the whole event. So she was trying to run away with Abe. They had actually slept together at 13 years old, and however old Abe was, he may have been the same age. I know he was a kid too. So they were running away. Lucy, I think, saw Lilith, or I can't remember how she knew, but she went to go get Lilith. So somehow all three of them connected in like the forest or whatever, or the woods. Lilith got mad at Emily because she was protected. It's not fair that she got mad at Emily, but she's a kid going through it. So who can blame her? So she starts choking Emily. Eventually she lets go of her, so she doesn't strangle her, but she accidentally, I guess, pushed her or something, and Emily tripped and fell across a bridge. I don't know. So that's how she died, unfortunately, which was super sad. This is a little out of order, but I eventually said that Lilith and Lucy pretty much sucked for that. I know they're young kids. They're 13, 11, but they just killed their little sister on accident. Well, Lilith did. But then they don't ever tell anybody what happens. They make it seem like she ran away. And I had wondered if that's why Abe had something to do with it. So he finds her shoes in the woods, right after it happened. Because he was, like I said, he was running away with Lilith. So he didn't see what happened or anything like that. He might have guessed, maybe. Or maybe he did see it. We don't know. But yeah. So that's why I thought Abe may have had something to do with it. Because he had one of her little shoes. Whereas the other one, he left behind. Yeah, Lilith and Lucy just doesn't tell anybody what happens. And so they watch their mother grieve for this little girl who might be alive, according to her, and for years, and does nothing about it. So that's why I said they kind of sucked. Because obviously at that point they were kids, but they're old enough to know better. And they also, at some point in time, when they became adults and grew older, they should have known. And then at some point the house is on fire, and I bet Patrick did it, which that leads to my other note that I made earlier where I forgot that part of the plot. So that was also a given, I guess. Yeah, so the house is on fire. Luckily, nobody died or anything. Everyone was safe. It was just, quite unfortunate that the house is no longer really there. I don't think it burned all the way down. It started off as a simple kitchen fire, which I found weird because it was the middle of the night. Or at least I thought they should have found that part weird. Yeah, but then Patrick got caught, which I knew he did it. He tried blaming it on the oven. He told Justine that that's what the firefighter said, but the oven hasn't been working. It's actually been broken ever since Justine and the kids got there. And they know that because obviously they tried to cook cookies for like a little fun activity for the kids and stuff. And then that's when they found out the oven was broke, and they never got around to fixing it because she didn't also have money either. She only had the money that Lucy left behind, which was I think like $2,000. And this is the 90s, so I mean everything is a little cheaper back then obviously, but still with like 2 kids, a little expensive. So she just hadn't got around to fixing it. So Patrick played himself. That was all my notes on the book. I enjoyed the book. Really like fun-filled or like, you know, a mystery kind of thing. It was kind of like trying to figure out what happened to Emily. That was about it. Overall, I enjoyed it, but I wouldn't read it again. Lucy's story, like I said, was super boring. I liked Justine's story. That was about it. That was it. Thank you.